In our last two episodes, we've been asking the question, what is Hindu nationalism? A lot of rational Americans don't know, but as U.S. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard launches her campaign for president in the midst of all sorts of allegations about how much money she took from Hindu nationalists, it has become necessary for us to acquire a working knowledge of Hindu nationalism in order to understand the seriousness of those allegations. We talked about VD Savarkar, who coined the term Hindutva when he wrote a book by the same name, and how Hindutva defines a religious nationalist political ideology. We talked about how Savarkar and Hedgewar were both leaders in the same Hindu nationalist political party. We also talked about how Hedgewar wanted to create a more disciplined organization, a paramilitary called the RSS. Hedgewar thought that Hindus were a race. Like Savarkar, he believed that Hindus, as a so-called race, constitute a single national and political unit. He insisted that the true path to national salvation required organization, and so he declared, the Hindu race can save itself only through such organization. We learned how Hedgewar created the RSS in 1925, the same year that Adolf Hitler published Mein Kampf. We also saw how Hedgewar's mentor, B.S. Munji, praised the RSS as a fascist institution. But what happened to the RSS after Hedgewar? When Hedgewar founded the RSS, he became its Sarsang Chalak, a word which basically means supreme leader. He remained Sarsang Chalak for 15 years, until his death in 1940. Then he was succeeded by this man, M.S. Golvarkar. Golvarkar was more of a writer than Hedgewar. He was more like Savarkar in that respect. But all three men agreed on one thing. They all believed that the name of the country should be Hindustan, not India. They thought there was a Hindu race, and they thought that the land belonged only to Hindus. So Golvarkar wrote things like, in Hindustan, the land of the Hindus, lives and should live the Hindu nation. He said that the nation consisted only of those belonging to the Hindu race with its Hindu religion, Hindu culture, and Hindu language. He believed that India has no room for anyone else. So he wrote, in Hindustan exists and must needs exist the ancient Hindu nation, and naught else but the Hindu nation. Like Savarkar and Hedgewar, Golvarkar believed that being Indian meant being Hindu. So he wrote things like, only the Hindu has been living here as the child of this soil. Just in case his reader misunderstood his intentions, he also phrased it another way. Hindustan is the land of the Hindus and the terra firma for the Hindu nation alone to flourish upon. We learned that Savarkar viewed Muslims and Christians in India as foreign and claimed their love is divided. He said that Muslims were Indians never and compared them to the Jews in Germany. We also learned that Hedgewar wanted the RSS to be a paramilitary which would protect against onslaughts by outsiders. But what did Golvarkar think about non-Hindus? He said that the only true patriots were people who aspired to glorify the Hindu race and nation, and claimed that all others are traitors and enemies to the national cause. He called it treason for an Indian to belong to any religion except Hinduism. He wrote that conversion away from Hinduism is not merely a case of change of faith, but a change even in national identity. What else is it, if not treason, to join the camp of the enemy? Golvarkar asked, What is the attitude of those people who have converted to Islam or Christianity? He said that converts to non-Hindu religions do not feel that they are the children of this land and its tradition. So he wrote things like, "Together with the change in their faith, gone is the spirit of love and devotion for the nation." He believed that any Hindu who became a non-Hindu was a traitor. So he wrote things like, "Conversion of Hindus into other religions is nothing but making them succumb to divided loyalty in place of having undivided and absolute loyalty to the nation. It is dangerous to the security of the nation and the country." Because Savarkar refused to distinguish between the Hindu religion and the Indian nationality, he concluded that non-Hindus were the enemy. They were a threat to the nation. They were guilty of treason. They were traitors. He believed that being Indian meant being Hindu. So Savarkar called non-Hindus foreigners, even accusing Christians and Muslims of having a foreign mental complexion. And he claimed that these non-Hindus have no place in the national life unless they abandon their differences, adopt the religion, culture, and language of the nation, and completely merge themselves in the national race. He insisted that all non-Hindus must return to the Hindu fold, that is, reconvert to Hinduism. So he wrote things like, "Tell the pugnacious fighting Muslim that his forefathers were Hindus, that he should return to the Hindu fold as a self-respecting man." Savarkar wanted unity, but he didn't just want harmony in society. He didn't just want Christians and Muslims and Sikhs and Hindus and Buddhists and everyone else to live together in peace and friendship. He thought that the only way to have unity was if everyone in India identified as a Hindu. So he wrote things like, "There are some people who claim that they have achieved unity of Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and all others on the political and economic plane. But why limit the oneness only there? Why not make it more wide and more comprehensive, so as to fuse them all in the Hindu way of life? We stand not only for political and economic unity, but also for cultural and religious unity." Savarkar believed that the only way to achieve this unity and to fuse everyone into the Hindu way of life was for non-Hindus to submit and surrender to being dominated by the so-called Hindu race. So he wrote things like, "The foreign races in Hindustan must either adopt the Hindu culture and language, must learn to respect and hold in reverence Hindu religion, must entertain no ideas but those of the glorification of the Hindu race and culture, i.e. of the Hindu nation, and must lose their separate existence to merge into the Hindu race, or may stay in the country, wholly subordinated to the Hindu nation, claiming nothing, deserving no privileges, far less any preferential treatment, not even citizens' rights." Remember how Savarkar said any Hindu who became a non-Hindu was guilty of treason and of joining the camp of the enemy? What did he think should happen to this enemy? Savarkar claimed that the race spirit has been awakening. As that happened, he insisted that the world has to see the might of the regenerated Hindu nation strike down the enemy's hosts with its mighty arm. Remember the saffron flag that the RSS raises and salutes at every assembly? Not the Indian national flag, just the saffron flag. Savarkar wrote, "We Hindus rally to the Hindu standard, the saffron flag, and set our teeth in grim determination to wipe out the opposing forces. Remember how, in its core beliefs and in its outward appearance, the RSS resembled other movements which were developing at the same time in Europe? Like Savarkar and Hedgewar, Savarkar compared his vision of an exclusively Hindu nation to a Germany of Germans. So he wrote things like, "Our race spirit has once again roused itself, in the same way that the ancient race spirit, which prompted the Germanic tribes to overrun the whole of Europe, has re-risen in modern Germany." Savarkar thought that non-Hindus were anti-nationals who belonged to the enemy camp. But he particularly disliked Semitic religions. He claimed that the Semitic concept of religion bred intolerance, and said that the first Semitic religion was Judaism, an intolerant faith. Remember how Savarkar thought that there was a Muslim problem that needed a solution? So he wrote things like, "If we Hindus in India grow stronger, in time these Muslims will have to play the part of German Jews." Savarkar also compared non-Hindus in India to Jews in Germany. He praised German race pride and wrote things like, "To keep up the purity of the race and its culture, Germany shocked the world by her purging the country of the Semitic races, the Jews." Race pride at its highest has been manifested here. Savarkar thought that Germany had set a good example by showing how it was supposedly impossible for different races and cultures to be assimilated into one united whole. And so he concluded that it was a good lesson for us in Hindustan to learn and profit by. This was the vision of M.S. Savarkar, who remained the supreme leader of the RSS for 33 years, from 1940 until 1973. As we seek to investigate and expose Tulsi Gabbard's connections to Hindu nationalism, and especially try to understand why it really matters, that's all we have for the third episode of Hindutva 101. On the next episode, we will examine how Savarkar went on to found the VHP in the 1960s, and how the RSS and the VHP led to the creation of the BJP, the political party which rules India today.